Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. It's another paid request. This time for Ben. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for The Killing Fields, 1984 film that is directed by a guy named Roland Joffé. It stars Sam Waterston. You also have John Malkovich. You have Craig T. Nelson. Sam Waterston, who I remember from this film called Warning Sign, which I thought was a bit underrated. He plays a journalist for the New York Times. And he's covering the Cambodian Civil War going on at the time. He has this interpreter named Dith Pran, who has not arrived there yet, but he meets up with his photographer, played by John Malkovich, and they're trying to figure out what to do next, and all of a sudden this explosion occurs, which is a very well done scene, unexpected, because you see Sam sitting there looking at it, and right near them this big explosion that pushes them back. Pretty effective. Just because how close it was to the actual actor, and there's no cuts or edits, so. But yeah, the Civil War is going on in Cambodia. They talk with the Major, played by Craig T. Nelson from Poltergeist. And finally they do meet up with the interpreter. And then the chapter of the film is pretty much them kind of just wandering around, going from one area to the other, taking pictures, getting into trouble, getting caught, arrested. Dith Pran kind of talked his way out so that he'd be released. And that's kind of the issue I had with the film, and I would say I wasn't really a fan of this movie. I can appreciate the acting by Dith Pran, who won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. One of the few times an Asian won it. Him and Thi Hoi Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Which is really, the story is more about him, especially the second half of the film. It's definitely more about him. And you definitely feel sympathy for the character because he's just trying to do the right thing. He's able to get his family out of there, but he stays behind. You get the idea he stays behind in order to help Sam Waterston. But I never really felt a connection between him and Sam. I know the movie wants us to think there's a big connection, wants us to feel it, but in the first half of the film, aside from a handful of little conversations, I never really got a vibe of them being big friends and like really close. And the movie wants us to feel that, but I didn't really feel it was that earned. Now, one thing I will say was good was the technical aspects. In particular, really make it seem like a war-torn country, war-torn environment. With the locations, the places they shot, the way the buildings look, people struggling in the street. I definitely give credit to that. Sometimes we'll jump a few years, and thankfully I see the text, otherwise I would not have noticed. And this thing, I don't really get a big, strong story, as in a flow to it in the first half. It kind of just seemed like, here's something random, and here's something, and here's something. But yeah, I never really get a gist of the, I don't know how to put it, the flow of the story going on, where I really get a sense of Sam as a character, these other guys as characters. John Malkovich, I didn't mind him as a photographer. I actually thought John Malkovich did better than Sam Waterston. Sam was just there. I definitely prefer him in Warning Sign and other movies. Here, he's just kind of there as the journalist who just really wants the story. There's a point in the film where there's a parade and the Civil War is ended, but then they get arrested and held, and it seems like the word is they don't get Dith Pran and either incarcerate him or kill him. So they're trying to sneak him out, and they try to make this photograph. And John Malkovich, I got a bit more. It's funny, John Malkovich barely had any scenes with Dith, but I still felt emotionally, he was more of a friend of him than Sam Waterston was. And him struggling to get the photograph, and yes, I got it. But then when they show the photograph, because the materials they had was shit, when they show the passport, it's gone, it's faded. So they get Dith Pran, they put him into pretty much this re-education camp. I think because I didn't know much about the movie, I had heard of the awards it had gotten, and the critical reception. I didn't really know that Sam Waterston becomes almost a non-entity in the second half of the movie. He's back in New York, and here's a scene of him talking with some of Dith Pran's family, or he's trying to contact someone, or he accepts an award. He says, "This guy helped me," and then John Malkovich confronts him in the bathroom. But I just didn't feel the friendship. I know the movie wants us to feel that way, because it has a few of those moments that are supposed to be Oscar moments, like Sam hugging Dith Pran when he has to go and leave, and he's taken to the re-education camp at the very end of the film when Sam's there, and they go up, and Dith is so excited to see him, he jumps in the guy's arms. But I didn't buy the friendship earlier. I didn't buy that they were this close of friends. Maybe colleagues that have, again, this many conversations at most. But I just didn't really buy their closeness. I didn't. And the second half, a chunk of just in these re-education camp out in the middle of nowhere in the jungle, where Dith Pran is pretending to be dumb because they don't like intellectuals. Yeah, yes sir, yeah. He's having to suck the blood out of the necks of cows because it's the only way that you get a bit more food and other stuff. There's so little to eat. Probably the most effective scene was him walking, and he slips and he sees all these skulls and corpses, thus the killing fields, and you realize all the fields, like, really effective in its look in the landscape, just how desecrated and decimated, just how these corpses are just bones and muck, and definitely gives you that nasty feeling, as its purpose is supposed to be. So, I feel for that character, and then he, like, kind of not becomes friends, but, like, this guy starts trusting him, and, hey, take care of my son. And then some other stuff happens, and he's able to escape through the jungle, and spoiler alert, there's a landmine. He tries to save the kid, but the kid dies in his arms. He traverses the jungle. He sees the Red Cross base. Then Sam gets word that his buddies survived. It's just one of those things that I know what I'm supposed to be feeling, but I didn't really feel it. I really did not feel it in this movie. Again, it's one of those things where obviously it's based on a true story, so they couldn't change the facts around. But Sam Waterston's character just didn't come off as that interesting to me. And I don't think Sam was okay, but he wasn't exceptional or anything. I was more impressed with John Malkovich and the small bits he had. The first half kind of seemed haphazard in plotting, where we're here, then we're here, then we're here. It didn't seem like it was a naturally flowing story. I was kind of surprised that Sam becomes such a non-essential. Like nothing he did helped Dith escape, or it's definitely a more interesting story of Dith Pran trying to survive and escaping. But at the same time, it just I'm sure it brought people some more eyes to what was going on in Cambodia. If I understand that the actor who played Dith Pran did go through stuff similar to that, so it was definitely a very personal story for him. So I can appreciate that he was able to help bring this story to life, and then win an Oscar for it. I don't know what the guy did afterward, but it's one of those things where I don't know. I didn't really feel much of anything else. To a point that I saw the film a few days ago, and to be honest, other than the stuff I mentioned, I don't remember much else about the movie. I know it's not much of a review, but and I also felt the film, it seemed long. Yeah, almost 2.5 hours long. And I don't think the film needed to be that long. I mean, it was nominated for 7 Oscars. It won Haing S. Sorry if I mispronounced his name, who I just sadly passed away in 1996. He went through what the character did in the movie. I mean, pretty much the movie was based on. Well, I mean, it's based on Dith Pran, but he went through similar stuff. Part of me wondered I would just made a movie based on his life, maybe. See, he was in the Iron Triangle, Vietnam War drama, 2 episodes of China Beach. He was in an episode of Miami Vice. He was in a film called My Life, where he was a spiritual healer who provides guidance for Michael Keaton and Nicole Kidman. He was in a few movies called Vanishing Sun as the general. So, okay. Oh, he was in Eastern Condors. He was one of the characters in Eastern Condors. I think he was a guy that you thought he was crazy, but he wasn't. He was the guy they were supposed to rescue, and then he pretended to be crazy, but then he really wasn't. And oh, there's the traitor over there. I think that was this guy. Like I said, that actor and the showcase of the turmoil in Cambodia, in particular, the ghastliness of the killing fields themselves. But it's not a violent, gory movie, not at all. Like I said, just the pace in the film, I don't think need to be over almost 2.5 hours long. Sam Waterston, his character just lacked a sense of that dramatic heft that really kept me invested. again, Sam works in films like Warning Sign. I don't know if it was him or just the way the character is interpreted in this movie. Like I said, I didn't really buy this deep friendship between the two because it felt like they barely talked to each other. They're just, again, just a colleague and nothing else. It was cool to see John Malkovich in there and Craig T. Nelson. I think either one of them maybe would have been more interesting as the lead. Like, Craig T. Nelson would have been cool as the lead. I would like to have seen that. I think Craig T. Nelson has that kind of, where maybe the writing would falter for that character, but Craig definitely has more of a presence. I think Sam, I don't know. Maybe a sci-fi movie here and there, he's just not leading man material. I don't know. I just, I don't know what to say. I know it's a lousy review, but I didn't really see the emotional, other than some of the character interpreter. I, I, with all the films that have been nominated for Oscars, when I looked at like the Shawshank Redemption and things of that nature, I guess I don't really get the hype for this film. I don't. It's not a bad film. It's just a film that was very uninterested in for the most part. I mean, sorry. I just don't get the big hype for it, other than bringing eyeballs to the Cambodian Civil War, which I do appreciate it doing that. But as a narrative, as it's hard to say entertainment, but like this review, it's kind of, there was no natural flow to it. So maybe it fits that this review doesn't have a flow like this movie does. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.